So, we finally have the 3-star selector just on the horizon, and I know what you're thinking. You really want to pick your favourite, but also, you'd really rather not get bodied next champions meeting. And with the selector ticket being ever so valuable, you're thinking, can I really afford to make the wrong choice here? Well, don't worry, because I got your back, and I'm going to give you the laydown on which Umas you might want to consider. So for those that don't know what this ticket is, as part of the anniversary, it is going to be dropping. Now, it will be paid in Japan. We actually know how much it was valued at. It was valued at 3,000 yen. This translates to about 20 to 25 US dollars. However, if you compare it to the amount of pulls that you would normally need to complete a banner, this makes it by far the most efficient way to spend money in the game if you are going to spend it, because you can outright guarantee the character that you want. However, there are some restrictions worth mentioning. The ticket selector only goes up to the New Year's banner. This means that anything after Opera O and Hara Urara you will not be able to pick up with this ticket. This notably includes the new Valentine Mihono Bourbon. Depending on pulling, sure you can use this, but if you are, wait to use this because it's so incredibly valuable. You do not want to waste it. So let's quickly go over the criteria on how we're actually going to judge these Umas, because I would like for you to be able to take this video and make your own decisions, rather than me just tell you, you need to do X, Y, and Z. So one of the most important factors in whether we're going to be pulling on Uma is her longevity, and that's how long is she actually going to stay in the meta, because if we're going to pick something up, we do not want it immediately to be useless. And whether they're a good parent, that's also incredibly important reasons why you might want to pick up a character. Say, that will save you from having to be limited to 5 borrow slots a day, and that can let you make a lot more. Or it can give you another chance to turn that into a parent for someone else, and that way you can farm some friend points. And since Make a New Track is just on the horizon, we'll also consider if Make a New Track is going to help characters out, or in some cases really hamper their ability to perform well. Now, it will be a bit unique to each person because every player has unique Umas on their account, so really try and just tailor it for what you're going to be playing. If you're going to be playing frontrunners, for example, then you're going to want to get Umas which support that play style. Alright, so let's get into the actual rankings. Now, if your goal is to walk into the next champions meeting and just start dominating, then let's talk about the Umas that you are going to need to do that. So let's start with the queen herself, Christmas Oguri Cap. If you don't have her, like me, she is going to be one of the most pertinent options for you to potentially pick. See, she has one of the most powerful unique skills in the entire game. All you need to do, activate 3 heals, and then you get a guaranteed activation of her ultimate, which has acceleration, has speed, has recovery. So she's just completely freaking busted, because you can just take a set of skills that will activate it right before late race, and you have a guaranteed acceleration every single race. She is going to show up in every champions meeting, and she is only going to get stronger going into MANT, because she's going to be able to get even more skills, which is going to make her even more powerful. And she already dominated in last champions meeting, so if you want, like, this is the absolute meta and you must grab it, this is probably going to be the horse. The only thing that I will say is that if we do get evolved skills, she is going to lose a lot of her status because she isn't really helped out by evolved skills. But maybe you want something else, in which case I might recommend you Tamamo Cross. Now this one, she is incredibly versatile. She has just shown how good she is in the latest champions meeting. I know Zalarinth was able to build a really strong Tamamo Cross for his finals, and she was able to win it for him. So any sort of long races, she's going to be really good. She is essentially just a better version of Gold Chip with just a stronger ult. And yeah, if you're an end closer player, this is going to be one of those Umas which you're going to easily be able to just throw onto a team and not worry too much, because she is incredibly powerful. After all, she is White Lightning. Now, the next Uma we're going to talk about is very nice in that she is an amazing parent, but is also a strong Uma in her own right. That, of course, goes to Opera O New Year's, the absolute undisputed overlord. So Opera O is really all about her ultimate. It triggers at the 400-meter mark if you've popped 7 skills in the race. It's one of the strongest inherits in the entire game. It's still used in Japan to this day, so in terms of longevity, this is going to be the Uma that is really going to beat out everybody else for value, because you can just keep on using her. But she is still really strong. That ult is really, really strong. And yeah, if you're just thinking, oh, I want an Uma that, I'm really going to get my money's worth, this might be the one for you. But talking about inheriting ults, I think it's time we talk about Seiun Sky. Now, she's a really weird one because you might grab her and actually never run a race with her. You still need her though, because of her ultimate, angling and scheming. For any track on the game where you can activate this, it's a must-have for front runners. Fortunately, the latest Champions Meeting hasn't needed it, but everyone since her release except then has. So most tracks in the game, if you're running frontrunner, you need to get Seiun Sky. I'm sorry, 5 borrows a day is really not enough. You ideally want to bring as many chances as you can to get it. If you've got something like a Valentine's Mihono Bourbon, that's what you're planning on pulling, giving her a Seiun Sky ult is going to be very, very valuable. Or if you've got a Maruzensky, for example, another great frontrunner, you're going to want to give her the Seiun Sky ultimate. So in terms of parent picks for frontrunners, she is absolutely top tier. Now we're going to talk about Mejiro Dober. She's basically like the Seiun Sky for end closers and late surges, with a great ult that also gives accelerations to those positions. Basically, it requires you to be between 5th and 6th. There is some other condition, but that is the main gist of it, and it works incredibly similar to Mejiro Ryan's ult, which is let's pump some iron. So generally, if you're running a late or an end, you'd stick on Mejiro Ryan and you'd stick on Mejiro Dober. Funny how that works out. And then boom, you've got 2 really strong acceleration skills that you can use to make an absolute monster with. But maybe these options don't interest you, in which case maybe I could interest you in Fuji Kiseki. She is a Uma that specializes in Mile, so if your team's weak on that regard, she's quite great for that. But her unique skill, Lights of Vaudeville, is very amazing. It's a speed skill which is incredibly easy to activate. This makes her a pretty decent parent because you can combine her with, like we've already mentioned, Opera O, but you can also, stack on speed skills from the original version of Oguri Cap. Triumphant Pulse is very good to combine with this, and this makes Fuji Kiseki a very good parent option if you are interested in grabbing her for that, or maybe you just want Michael Jackson on your roster. And then, just because I really wanted to talk about this Uma, Smart Falcon. She's a pretty decent Uma. She's a front runner, which is really, really nice. She's also just super freaking adorable. I would say, however, Kupano Riki will be coming out, and she will be the absolute dominator when it comes to dirt tracks. So the longevity of Smart Falcon as an Uma isn't really that great, but I just really wanted to include her because if I was going to Oshi pick on this banner, she has a very strong chance of being that Oshi. And then the final horse that I just quickly want to mention is Narita Taishin. Now, I think she is lower priority than Tamamo Cross, but I want to mention her just because of her gold skill, Encroaching Shadow, which makes her an incredibly strong end closer. Just because she naturally comes with the gold acceleration, she's quite easy to build into a strong Uma, but as I said, I'd probably consider her, out of everybody I've mentioned, to be the lowest priority. And now I'm just going to quickly talk about some things that I actually don't recommend you spend your ticket on. Now, this first Uma might be a bit surprising to some people, but I'm going to advise that people do not spend this ticket on Maruzensky Original Version or Maruzensky Summer, which is a bit confusing because they have been meta Umas. Both of these are great inherits, but she has one real massive issue, and that's that she is going to get power crept by her own cards, Summer Maruzensky SSR Speed, which we will be getting in the summer. That means that the longevity prospect for pulling either of these Umas really isn't that great because you're not going to be able to really use them in a competitive environment after 6 months. They're still alright for inherits, but I think you can do a bit better. And the other Uma I'd recommend that you do not pull for on this ticket is Silent Suzuka. Again, it seems kind of confusing because Runaway has really shaped the meta since she's appeared, but this is specifically to do with her interaction in Make a New Track. For those that don't know, in order to get Runaway, you need to complete a secret event. However, there are no secret events in MANT. All of them are disabled. This means you cannot build Runaways in MANT, so if you wanted to build one, you would have to go back to the Unity Cup. This is too big of a disadvantage, in my opinion. You are losing so many stats from not doing the newest scenario that this really, really hampers this Uma. Her inherit is... You don't really care. You only really care about this Uma if you're going to be running her as a runaway. And I just, like I said, with the new scenario coming out, I do not think she's a good value proposition. And there we have it. Those are all the Umas that we're going to be talking about today. Are you thinking about buying this selector ticket? And if so, are there any Umas on this list that you're going to maybe buy? Or do you perhaps want to spend it on something else? Like, maybe you really want to get, I don't know, Narita Bryan because you like her a lot. I'm very interested to know. I think for me personally, the most tempting Umas, it's probably either Christmas Oguri Cap or New Year's Opera O. Probably a bit more New Year's Opera O because I tend to run front runners over pace chasers. So for me, that makes the most sense. Now, if you've gotten this far in the video, I just ask, I'm trying to grow my channel at the minute. I've put a lot of work into this video, so if you could just throw me any sort of engagement just to help me on my way, that would be much appreciated. And until then, I really hope I see you in the next video. Bye now.